What's going on, family? It's your big brother Switcher G back again with another one. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I like to cook up live, but this time I thought I'm gonna switch it up. We're gonna do a tutorial style in Pro Tools. I know not a lot of people make beats in Pro Tools, so that's why I'm gonna give it to you this way. Everybody know, you've heard it before, Pro Tools is one of the industry's leading DAWs, being used from home studios to professional studios to post-production, audio, video, everything. Pro Tools is where it's at. And whether you're a beginner or you're an experienced producer, this tutorial should give you some valuable insight, couple tricks and tips to take your beat making to the next level. So let's get started. Alright, so we're gonna do this tutorial style because we're gonna start this all the way from the beginning. First of all, we're gonna create a session. Now, as y'all can see, I have create from template set, but I'm not gonna do a template for y'all. I'm gonna show y'all how to save a template. So let's see, what do we want to name this one today? I usually don't name my beats. I usually just number them based on however many I've made so far in a year. Every year I start the number from scratch. I name them after I get done and bounce it down and everything. So let's go ahead and click create. Alright, now when you load up Pro Tools, you have just an empty session right here. First thing I want to do, I want to go over some of the I/O. So you're not gonna see it up here at the top. My menu is on my other screen. I have dual screens, and the screen I'm sharing does not have the options up here. I'll just let you know, at the top you want to go into your setup and you want to go into your I/O. It is a good idea to set up common buses that you know you're going to use. So for me, you can see how I have mine set up. Every now and then I still have the numbered buses just in case I need to add something else. But in every single beat that I make, I have a music, drum, beat, verb, delay, a pre and a post bus on every single track that I do. If you wanted to set up your own buses, all you have to do is come down here, click new path, and it'll pull it up. You can set it as a stereo. If you want, you can auto create the sub path. I chose not to do it. It makes it a little bit cleaner if you don't add the sub paths. You can add as many as you want and go ahead and name it right here. You hit this plus if you want to name them individually before you add them. I already have mine set up, so I'm not gonna do that. But again, your I/O setup, getting your buses set up so that it's something that when you go to do your mixing portion, it's something that's easily recognizable and you know what you're looking for, comes in very handy. The first thing that I'm gonna do in Pro Tools, you gotta create a click track. So you go up to track, create click track, then we're gonna pull in a couple of tracks. So when I make beats, I like to have a MIDI track, and then I also have my stereo instruments track, and that's where the VST go on your instrument track. We're gonna start with 16 instrument tracks. You can always add more, you can always take away. Here on your left hand side, you see all the names of your tracks, but there's a couple other things that's gonna come in handy when you're making your beats. If you click this hamburger menu right here, you'll see I have instrument, inserts, and I/O selected to show. So with inserts, I can select my instruments from right here. Then if I use an instrument such as contact, just to give you guys a quick example of something real quick, contact, I can actually load up two different instruments in this same instance. So I'm just gonna pull up two things real quick, Giant, and just pull up Drum Lab real quick. And again, this is just some preliminary stuff just to kind of get you accustomed to some of the functionality. You'll see more as we go along. All right, so I have two different instruments set up right here. What I can do in Contact, go to my outputs, batch functions, and we're gonna select this top one. Clear output selection and create one individual channel for each loaded instrument. Gonna give you a little warning message, just click yes, and you'll see you have one output for the Giant, one output for Drum Lab. If we go up here, you see your output, the Giant MIDI channel on one, and then this second plugin right here, output Drum Lab MIDI channel 2. So now what I can do, so MIDI channel 1 is automatically gonna be the channel that the plugin is on, but right here on instrument 2, in this instrument panel where it says none, I can go to instrument channel 2, and for my input, I can go plug in, contact, 3, 4. Now just to show you, make instrument channel 1 record ready. That's the instrument. Channel 2, that's drum lab. So that's just a way you can kind of save your resources. One plug-in, at least 2 channels. I'm gonna see how many I can get away with. If you are a producer, one good thing to do is to set up templates to kind of help speed up your workflow. As y'all saw when I started, I had one template set up, so I'm gonna actually go ahead and create a second template. You saw I only have the one, so I have one set up for contact. But let's say I wanted to use my Spitfire. I have a Spitfire Epic Strings, Brass and Woodwinds on channel 2, Abbey Road 1 on channel 3. And it doesn't have to be from all of the same plugin manufacturer. I'm just doing this because sometimes that's how I like to make beats. And then we'll throw BBC. All right, so let's say, so we already have strings and woodwinds. Let's let this one be a heart. And then we'll also go ahead and add my battery. So that's how I do my drums. Now on my battery, like I showed you with contact, we'll do it the same way. So when I make my beats using battery, each drum has an individual channel and an individual track. So we'll go ahead and get this mapped out. So when it comes to making the beat, everything can kind of flow a little bit faster. And I could just pick a channel, load up an instrument instead of having to set it up every single time I make a beat. Because as you can see, this part can take a little bit of time. We'll go ahead and get 8 of them assigned because my keyboard has 8 pads. And then we'll also go ahead and add sublab just in case we want to throw an 808, which we know we are gonna put an 808 in the beat. So far all I've done is select which instruments I may want to use on a beat. So let's say you've picked your instruments and these are instruments that you use on a regular basis. So you want to save a template so that you could just load it up and get to making beats pretty quick. You can do that here in Pro Tools. You just go up to your file menu. You're gonna save as template. And I'm gonna name this template Spitfire beat because this one's all Spitfire. You'll name yours whatever you want to name yours. That lets you know what it is. Now everybody has their own process. Some people like to do their drums first. Some people like to do the melody first. Me personally, when I make beats, I like to do the melody first. So I like strings. We can stick with this strings and let's just see. All right, now everybody has their own kind of way of coming up with ideas. For me, I just kind of let the instrument speak to me. Let's see. I think I like those notes right there. So now I need to find a tempo. Let's try 136. And as you see, I messed up already, but it don't even matter. All right, and usually most people make beats in increments of 4 8-bar loops. Let's go ahead and quantize this on the grid. I don't think I did nothing quicker than 8th notes. Go down to channel 2. Let's see what we got. Oh my God. Oh my. That just came perfect. I just hope it works. Man, I hope it works. Let me turn off. So what I'm doing now, I'm about to set this original string with some octaves. So I pulled up my piano roll by double clicking on the MIDI file. I'm gonna hold down the Alt key and drag my notes up with everything highlighted. But I gotta make sure I put it on the right freaking note, 'cause that's wrong. Alright, now I'm gonna change the velocity on the top layer to bring the top ones out. I like it, but I think I want to add another octave. Again, hold down the Alt key, drag them up. And turn that top layer down. Oh yeah, that sounds real epic right there. And that's only two notes. I mean, two instruments. And that sounds really big right there. Y'all notice I really didn't even change no instruments. I just randomly picked some VSTs and started hitting notes. That's why I love Spitfire. Y'all might have heard me say that before. I love Spitfire. Golly, they make some good stuff. Alright. Alright. One thing that I didn't notice, if y'all notice, I have a little count in before I start recording up in the right hand side. If y'all don't see that, you just right click at the top, MIDI controls, that's what that is. And highlight count off. You can change it right here. Double click it to change the count off. But I like mine at 2 bars. Ah, buddy, this is so much fun. Again, with the quantize, eighth notes, chop it down. I think I know what this is. Y'all gotta know what's going in. Again, I'm not Spitfire. They need to give me a sponsorship or something. Yeah, I couldn't hear it, but it'll come out better when I get to the mixing portion. That's something y'all haven't seen yet. I don't think I've shown y'all how I do my mixing yet. But today will be from beginning to the end, so y'all gonna get to see it. Alright, let's make some drums, baby. I'm about to hop on Spotify and get some inspiration, see how I want to do my drums real quick. Alright, I ain't gonna lie, Spotify wasn't much help, but let's see. All right, now the drums, we just get to layering, baby. But before I go too far, I'm sorry. Me personally, I don't make my beats in loops. It probably would have took me an extra 5-10 minutes to do it the way I normally do it. But I prefer to just make that joint all the way through. So I'm sorry, y'all gonna have to get these hats all the way through. Golly, 3 minutes of hi-hats make your shoulders hurt now. This quantize, I gotta do 16s, and I'm probably gonna have to clean up in the piano roll. So to kind of help the groove of the drums, let me hit save. If y'all haven't noticed, I haven't saved it yet. That's the first time I've saved it. And I've been going for 40 minutes. Golly, that's not good. Make sure y'all save on a regular basis. Pro 2 does have automatic backups, but you do want to get in the habit of saving your work. All right, so I need to start chopping out some of these instruments to come up with some sort of arrangement. Since I did this in a 4-bar loop, I'll go ahead and arrange it for a song. 2 verses, 16 bars should work. 1 bar intro going straight into the first verse. I think the hook might need to come first just because of the way the beat is. think that's gonna be the arrangement. I can always go back and modify it later. What do I need next? Alright, so now it's time to add the bass. Now, I don't know what kind of bass I want to add. I don't know if I want it to be a regular tonal or more distorted. Let's see what we come up with. Alright, now there's a couple of spots that I messed up on the 808 that I need to go in and fix. think I'm gonna stop right here. I could add more, but I think this is a good spot to go to the next point. So I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit and get rid of some of these extra tracks. Right click to delete. All right, now I got all of my tracks, everything arranged out how I would like. Now for me at this point, this is where I will do any type of EQing that I need, any type of effects, sound design that I'm thinking of. And this is where I do my gain staging because I like to convert my instrument tracks to audio tracks. So let me show you how that process is. I'm gonna add a new track. I'm gonna add a stereo master track, the master fader. When I play this, you're gonna notice it's gonna instantly peak. I don't worry about that when I'm making the beat. I hope it's not destroying y'all ears, but I really don't worry about that when I'm making the beat. I worry about that when I get to the end. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of EQing. So I'm just soloing just so you'll know which one I'm EQing. So for me, on virtually every instrument that I do this low cut, high pass filter, and I bring it all the way up to the lowest fundamental. Because I don't need anything lower than this, but I don't want to bring it up too high to make it too thin. See, look. Now that could be a good effect if I want it, but I do have that low octave in there. And that gives it a little bit more power. So I make sure I just roll it right up to the lowest fundamental. And then I also even though I'm putting it on solo to do this EQ move, I'm paying attention to any changes once I take it out of solo in a relationship as far as tone. I'm not worrying so much about balance right now. Everything right now was based on tone. Sometimes it does that when I add plugins as it's playing. Now these are the bells. Let's listen to the bells. But you can see some mud down here in the 20 hertz range, and it doesn't sound like it, but without that low cut, that could cause some interference in some of my other instruments. So that's why I put it on every single instrument, even if it may not seem like it's needed. Let me go ahead and add these other plugins real quick. If you want to affect multiple channels at the same time, on Windows it's Shift Alt. I guess it would be Shift Option on the Mac. I'm not exactly 100% sure. Oh, wifey's calling. And then the only thing that I don't use the Pro Q3 is my bass and 808s. For that, I like to use the Better Maker from Plugin Alliance. All right, let's go back up. We're gonna start on the drums from the top. We'll do the bass, like we'll do the 808 last. All right, now you see the clap is full spectrum. So I want to take out some of the lows, but I don't want to see right there. It's cut out too much. So I can only do up to 30. And that's something that you gotta be careful of. These are my main hats. Saving a little bit into it to get closer to the actual tone that I like. Just makes it better. first run through, I was able to get my EQing together and basically get all of my tones and everything set. For this one, I'm not gonna do any special sound design, just basic EQ on everything. Now comes the important part. I found if you properly gain stage the instrumental, you can get a lot more headroom and you can make it a lot louder. It seems counterintuitive, but trust me. In Pro Tools, you have multiple different meter styles. I suggest using this K14 meter. I'll switch to the K14 meter after watching an interview with the legendary engineer Young Guru. He kind of explained how he uses K14. And I kind of took that and applied it to my workflow. And ever since then, I've noticed a big difference. One thing that you will hear when looking at the various tutorials on beat making is mix with your ears, not with your eyes. And while that is very true, you do also have to use your eyes at times to guide your ears. So when I'm doing my gain staging, I always start with my 808. And when I get my 808 to play, I want it to peak around the 0 on the master. Using the K14 meter, that means I have another 14 points of headroom. So I have a lot of room to turn up the volume. Also, even though I'm starting with the 808 at 0, once I add the rest, the 808 is going to be the loudest instrument, but once I add everything else in and layer on top, it's going to be peaking over the 0. That's why you want the 0 to be your starting point. I'm just going to put on a loop where everything is at, so I ain't got to wait for instruments to come back in or whatnot. So let's see. Still a little high. This is right by where I want it. So it's hitting right above the 0. Now that I got my 808 where I want it, I mute the 808 and I go to my melody. And whatever my main part of the melody is, that's what I base all my other volume levels off of. And you can see this one's kind of jumping around. I think I want to turn it down a little bit. It's not actually that loud, but once I get to adding everything else. All right, now, once I add the second instrument, I'm no longer looking at my meter. I'm only paying attention to my ears. For the 808 in the first instrument, I kind of am checking my meter to make sure that I'm getting a good starting point. But once I get my starting point, everything else is based on the ears. Now that right there is a good level for my melody. Now we can start adding the drums. I'll hit Control S to save it real quick. Start off with the clap. Now again, once I start adding the drums, of course I'm paying attention to my ears, but I also gotta check the level to see where we peaking at, to see how much is jumping. And right now it's a really big jump on the clap, so I'm gonna bring it down some more. think that sounds pretty good. All right, now these blocks are accent blocks, so I gotta make sure that I bring them down so that they're not being too distracting. You kind of want to feel that more than hear it. Then when I get everything minus the 808 in, I kind of listen to it for a little while to just check my balance. Then I bring that 808 in and see how it feels. Now if you check the master, I think the high went up to around 8. And even peaking up around 8, I still got another 6 points of headroom. So I can still turn it way, way up if I wanted to. But now that we have our levels where we want, I'm gonna go back. And now we're going to convert this over to audio. And since I've done all of my edits on the instrument tracks, what I'm gonna do is change the output to a new track, change it to an audio track, and I'm also gonna name each track so that I know what's what for the final mix. Or if I gotta send the stems out to somebody, they pull it up and they know exactly what's what. The first one was strings. Second one is brass. I say it's bells. I'm gonna call it the pad. Well, all right, now that I have all of my instrument tracks set to output to their own individual audio tracks, we're gonna save it. Hold down the Alt key, hit record. That'll make all of the available audio tracks go to record ready. Just a quick tip, and we'll listen to it one more time. All right, now comes the fun stuff. Now we get to do a little bit of mixing. All right, so first we're gonna just clean it up a little bit. Got to get rid of the click track, and we're gonna take all of these instrument tracks. To select the instrument tracks in between the audio tracks, I am holding down Control. We're gonna drag them all up to the top. Again, Shift Alt, no output on all of them. Then we're gonna make them small and right click, make inactive. I got in the habit of doing this when I had my old PC. My old PC did not do well with multiple VSTs working. So that's what got me in the habit of turning my instrument tracks to audio tracks. But you can also do a little bit more slash different types of manipulations with audio tracks versus the instrument tracks. Now, for mixing purposes, we're gonna go back to this hamburger. I'm gonna turn off my instrument. I'm gonna turn on my synths. Go back to my mix window. Now I need to add my bus tracks that I mentioned at the beginning. Me personally, every beat that I make needs 7 bus tracks. And they are for music, drums, the whole beat, the reverb for the beat, and the delay for the beat. Then the pre-mix and my post-mix. I forgot one thing. On my audio tracks, I gotta change their inputs, all the inputs to no input, just to make sure nothing weird accidentally comes through. That's why I changed those to no input. All right, back to my music bus. Now we set up music, drums, and as you see, all my bus match the names that I put below. You set those up on your inputs. Now the outputs. This is how I have everything outputted on the audio tracks. All of my melody, my instruments, my progressions, all of that goes bus to the music. All of my drums and percussion gets bus to the drums. The music, drums, verb, and delay gets bust into the beat. The beat gets bust into the pre, and the pre gets bust into the post. My master track stays naked. Nothing goes on my master track. I might put an analyzer or something like that on it, but nothing that's affecting the sound goes on my master track. That's just the way that I work. I use reverb in every beat. I use delay in some. Let's go ahead and get the reverb set up. My favorite reverb right now is this one from Native Instruments. I like to call it ROM. ROM. I don't know how you pronounce it. I'll just keep it on the basic preset, turn the mix up, add some low cut, some high cut. Every now and then I'll turn up the diffusion just a little bit. My music bus, I've been using this red EQ from Focusrite. For my drums, I like to use Diablo from Cymatics. On the beat, I like to use Fire the Pump from Acoustica. And then we'll add more as we go along. So now at this point, this is where I'm going in, fine tuning the balance, adding a little bit more EQ, adding a little more crunch punch to the drums, just to get it hitting harder and a little bit bigger. So now let's see what we can do. Like I need to turn the pad down. plugins I use, I have my own presets. For my drums, I got a preset already because I'll do it pretty much the same way almost every time. Now I need to add some reverb. This is the reverb track. It's real low. And the idea is just to be subtle in the background to add a little more room to the beat as a whole. It's not meant to be overburningly reverbish. It's not meant to be an overburn reverb. So I got it at a good nice starting point, I would say. I don't need any delay on this one, even though I have the delay track. Again, these are just I go down the line, so this black box really made that clap poke out, so I had to bring my clap back some. Alright, then once I get to the end and I want to check my levels, for beats, I don't put it through a rigorous mastering. I just kind of do a little bit of EQing, a little bit of saturation, throw a limit on the end, and we call it a day. So what I use for my master track, I'll throw a loudness meter, and we'll throw this spectrum analyzer on here. And let's see what kind of levels we're at. Output -1 on the limiter. So according to my loudness meter, I'm only peaking at -2.8, so I could turn it up on my limiter. I'm at -15 lux. Think about that. I'm at -15 lux with a true peak of -2. That's all because of the way I gain stage. So I could turn it up, and it's gonna make it feel louder, even though, let's turn it up. One thing when you bouncing it down, you want to make sure you make a selection. So whether if you select the wave file or you make the selection up here in the bar, you want to make sure that you make a selection to tell it how long to bounce. So I'm gonna go file, bounce to disc, and I don't know what to name it. And there you have it. Top to bottom, beginning to end, making the beat from scratch in Pro Tools. Now remember, the key to being a master at your craft is putting in the time and effort to learn your craft. So make sure you take the time, whether you're using Pro Tools or whatever DAW that you are using, make sure that you take the time to actually learn your system. The easiest way to become fast, efficient, good at making music, making beats, production, whatever it is that you do, is putting in the time to learning your craft. Actually sitting down and experimenting with new things, practicing, putting in the work, putting in the time until you find that special sauce that makes you who you are. Now, if you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more music production content, and make sure you let me know in the comments if there's something else that you want me to cover in the future. Thank you for watching, and happy beat making. You know what it is. Bass.